Welcome back to the Movement is Medicine podcast. Dr. Gene Shirakabrad here with Dr. Megan Weezer, recently back from a trip to Portugal.
Yeah, I'm
And
jet lagged.
Dr. Corey, I just experienced steak on a stick. How?
Ooh, I went to the Renaissance Festival.
You sure
What's
did.
more interesting, Portugal or the Maryland Renaissance Festival?
That's a close one.
1000% Portugal.
That's a tough one.
No, it's not.
That's spoken like somebody that's never been to the Renaissance Fair.
It's not a tough one.
Okay, well, let me ask you these questions then, Megan.
Yeah. Did you have steak on a steak?
Steak
I
on
didn't.
a steak?
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Did you see people swallowing swords? Did you
No.
see jousting?
No.
Did you see beheading? Did you see beheadings? No.
I did not.
Okay, that's just Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. That's Dark
I thought
Ages.
tickets were sold out.
Well, based on
For
that
the weekend
information,
that we wanted to go.
Yeah.
They went last weekend.
Oh, gotcha.
so based on that information, leave a comment below if you think the Renaissance Festival, which did have sword swallowing,
Steak on steak.
steak on a steak, jousting,
Turkey legs.
turkey legs, compared to Portugal, which had none of
If
those.
you choose
Apparently
the Renaissance
pastries.
Fair, you're dead to me.
Apparently Portugal only had pastries. The sounds of it. And gelato. And gelato.
And waffles in the shape of inappropriate body parts.
What?
What inappropriate body part?
What?
Oh, yes, they did. have
See?
that.
Yeah, she acts like she doesn't know.
I didn't order any of
Oh.
those.
Come again?
Did you not see the picture? I
Portugal had what?
Inappropriate waffles.
Say more.
You didn't see that here. Let me pull up the picture.
They were in the shapes of certain anatomical landmarks on
What'd you
either
use? What'd you
males or females.
Sexy waffles.
For those of you who are not watching, Gina's looking at the picture right now.
Great food is like great sex. The more you have it, the more you want it. And it's quite literally vulvas and penises.
I was dying laughing when I saw it.
While eating it,
No, I did not order any.
here's the menu. Big boy. Sexy girl. Wet girl. This is literally on their menu. Like, it's right here. If you're watching, it's
I
right there.
take back what I said about Portugal. I think it is more interesting.
Okay, fair. Fair enough. Fair enough. But the other positive thing is that
I shouldn't have brought it
you
up.
broke her. Jet lag's kicking in. I feel bad for people watching and listening at this point equally.
Oh my god.
Equally. We got Megan back without injuries, without
Sickness?
disease, without delayed trips.
No, it was delayed, but only by an hour.
Yeah, so that's
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's normal travel.
I did have to scurry through yet another airport, but that's
That's normal.
okay.
Was
Normal.
that Jen's fault also?
Huh?
Was that Jen's fault
Even
also?
blame
Jen
her.
didn't go with me on this one.
I know, but it
Still
can still
blame
be
her.
her fault.
No.
Shout out, Jen. Sounds like you had a good trip. You had a
was
good
amazing.
Renaissance experience. So
I had cookies in a cone. It was a snow cone cone filled with chocolate chip cookies.
I don't understand how that's a Renaissance period.
Oh, it's not, but it was delicious.
Okay, sure.
Did you dress up? I need to know.
We were the only ones there that were not dressed up.
Yeah,
Really?
No,
the weirdos not dressed
we were
up.
the weirdos not dressed up. No, not the only ones, but the vast majority of people had some type of costume attire
Wow.
Oh
on.
yeah, people go all in. They take Renaissance Festival very seriously.
My question to Carrie was, do you think that those people really like the Renaissance time period, or do you think they really like dressing up?
Both.
I think they probably just like dressing up.
Yeah, that would be what I'd say.
Like, do you
That
think
is
they're at
true.
home just like researching Renaissance time?
I love
things?
Renaissance time. That's one of my favorite.
Lord of the
time
Rings is not Renaissance time.
periods. Correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
Just so we're on the same page.
That's the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
No, the Renaissance Fair is when Da Vinci started his prime. I mean,
Is that one of the Ninja Turtles?
Leonardo,
Yeah.
Michelangelo,
yeah, okay, yeah.
Donatello, and Raphael.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, exactly. They're all friends during the Renaissance period. Duh. That's why it's the best. But I remember, We're the one talking about culture here. You're the one that's coming at us with vulva waffles. So who's the degenerate here?
I didn't come at you with that. Corey brought that up.
Says the one that pulled up the picture and said,
Mhm.
"Look at it."
Well,
Mhm.
you didn't believe me, so I had to prove it.
There's a lot of things.
I can show you some cultural photos.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
We'll talk about Ninja Turtles now.
Can you show me steak on a steak?
I didn't take any
Okay,
pictures.
damn it.
Actually, I got
That's what I would want to say.
I got
Are
in
you
trouble.
trying to say steak on a stick?
No, it's
steak on a steak, like a steak.
like a steak.
But steaks.
Oh,
Yeah, it is on a stick, but
it's a steak.
they call it steak
I
on a
was
steak.
picturing a steak on a steak.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah, I like where your head's at.
Speaking of that, speaking
I
of
was like, oh.
culture, Carrie and I are going to Hamilton on Friday
Yes,
to
it's
learn-
so good.
to learn about U.S. history, and
I learned a lot too. I learned that I don't know shit about U.S. history.
That's very fair. That there's a whole talk about who writes the history books and what history is. But yes,
and then we're going to Fogo de Chao.
Oh yes. Have you ever been?
Beforehand, no. So I'm
Oh,
planning to get steak on a steak.
I clogged one of my arteries there.
Oh boy!
I ate so much. I had over 14 lamb chops last time I
Oh
went.
my
I just
gosh.
kept going.
I've-
Because you have a green card and a red
Yeah,
card.
if it's green, they'll just keep coming to you.
What?
If it's
Yeah.
red, you turn it over.
I've never
Yeah.
been there, so
It's
That's
literally like
exciting.
green light or red light.
Yeah, it's a magical experience. It's
Hmm.
like nonstop meat. Here's
It's so good.
here's a little trick of the trade. Do not go to the salad bar.
No, go to the
Stay
salad
away from
bar.
the salad bar.
Go to the
Yeah.
salad
It's
bar.
very enticing because it's
Go to
like
the
a giant
salad bar.
island, but then you fill your stomach with grass and lettuce and
I'm like a
stuff.
rabbit.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
No, go to the
Stay at
salad
your
bar.
table. Keep the cardone green constantly. Have them come in and you just say yes.
Do they get mad like if I don't finish the food?
No.
Do they just take it
No.
and throw it
No,
away,
no,
or give
no.
it to the next guy?
Yep.
Okay.
They just pass your plate to the next person.
That's one of my favorite things about cruises is you can order
Wait, you what?
you can order 2 entrees and
Yeah.
it's they they don't care. So
Oh,
if
I
you want
thought you were
no,
say they keep passing the
No.
plate
Plate's
to
over.
you.
Interesting cruise that you went on.
so you can just if you want the steak and the lobster, you say yes, I'd like both, and
Yeah.
then they bring you both. So
Fogo de
Surf
Chao
and
is a good experience. A
that's
lot of
cool.
fun.
Yeah, we've never been there, so we're excited.
It's nice because it's technically like buffet, but it's high quality meats. Like they just keep bringing you
Yeah, it's very
high
good.
quality meats. Yeah, it's a great experience. All right, we should probably talk about something relevant to this podcast.
Yeah.
I hear that Arby's has the meats.
Just imagine, Fogo de Chao is like Arby's.
Okay.
Yeah. Go in with that mindset, and you will not be disappointed.
Okay, good.
Yes. I'm pretty sure Arby's original slogan was Arby's, we have the meat sweats.
Yeah.
And then just took the sweats off.
You want me to take my sweats off?
Not again. We talked about this yesterday, Corey. Literally in class, he's taking the class that I was coaching yesterday. And he goes, "Should I take my pants off?" I was like, "Why are you asking? You know you're going to do it anyway." Thankfully, this time he actually had underwear on
And shorts.
and shorts.
Oh my god, how did this place not burn down when I was gone?
We weren't.
The fire department was here.
The fire department. Fun fact. All right, let's talk about something something relevant. Here's a question that I've been wanting to ask you guys to get your take
No.
on it. It's not a yes or no question, damn it.
Maybe.
Not a yes or no question. What makes a great coach? What is a great coach?
Good music. I'm just kidding.
It's a low blow
I
to
feel like
Corey.
you and I should high five for that.
That's
Okay.
that's a low blow to Corey. I don't know why you're high fiving.
Hey, I mean, I don't always play great music either, so.
Actually, when I wrote that post yesterday, I had poor music in the earlier class.
You were playing
Yeah.
my playlists.
See?
Case Exhibit A.
Mm-mm-mm. So, great coach. What makes a great coach? Aside from poor humor from these two.
I thought it was funny.
Exactly.
I'm assuming we're talking about a coach in our
No,
field.
well,
Like,
let's start big picture. I think there are consistent qualities regardless of what you're coaching.
Well, I think like obviously knowledge
Okay.
and interpersonal skills are high up on that list. Like I think interpersonal skills might be I was going to say higher than knowledge, but I disagree.
it's close though.
It's close though. Like but you can know a lot of shit and not know how to talk to humans and you're a terrible coach.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
That's why like the best basketball players in the world don't always make the best coaches. Like
Or any
That's why
sport,
the
yeah.
best
Yeah.
athletes
Yeah.
out there are not like have no business coaching people.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, passion, like enjoying what you do, enjoying working out does not make you qualified to tell people how to do it.
Correct.
Mhm.
Or being successful in that area of field,
Right.
right? But that's I think I've had this conversation before. I think this is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Having knowledge
Mhm.
is a breadth of information, like you have information. Wisdom is the ability to distill knowledge into practical terms.
I agree with
So,
that. Yes, being able to meet the person where they are at in their learning process and divulge the right amount of information packaged in the right way, I think. is
To
what makes
set
it
that
good.
person up for success. Because just
Yes.
teaching somebody the knowledge still isn't the
Yeah.
the
Anybody
what you're
can word
shooting for.
vomit how to deadlift on a brand new person,
Yeah.
but
Right.
meeting them where they are at based on their history, their beliefs, their previous experiences, like that's what makes a good coach. Like I don't know. I've heard from people before who were like what am I trying to say? I can't make words right now.
draw a picture.
It's easy to explain like everything you know, but that's not always going to elicit a change or progress the person with where they're at.
Okay.
Like you can correct every single fault in that person, but I think being able to like you said, distill it down to one or two things to work on first. Okay, get this down and then we'll progress this. Like if somebody comes in and their deadlift looks like a hot freaking mess and there's 87 things wrong, you're not going to explain all 87 of those things. You're going to pick one or two, and hopefully those one or two are the lower hanging fruit and allow that person to be successful at that time, or at least, have success within, the light is what makes a good coach. I don't think any of that made sense. That was just
I'm
a lot
sure.
of
I'm
words.
sure it made sense to somebody listening.
Just not us. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, what makes a great coach?
I already said
More.
Bill Belichick.
Why is Bill Belichick a great coach?
No, because he had a great quarterback. No, I think transfer of knowledge into action is a good kind of way to break it down. Showing somebody what to do and how to do it is fine, but helping the person to understand what they're doing and why they're doing it can help everyone, the coach and the athlete.
I think humility is also part of that.
Mhm.
Like knowing what you don't know and being honest about what you don't know. Like, I don't really know why that's happening, but let's try this. Like not faking it till you make it kind of thing. If you don't know something, you're going to be more respected by that person if you admit that you don't know it.
Yeah, making something up to
Right,
just
just
to have an answer
Talking
is
out
not
your
a good thing.
asshole is
Yeah.
not helpful to anybody.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest things with being a coach, and the reason I asked this question is because we've been having more and more new members come in, and one of the common threads that I keep hearing, and our members say this too, is they had a poor experience at some point being coached, or they come here on the flip side because they heard we are great coaches because of the system and physical therapists. But to them, the connection is
Or
the
degree.
expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then as they take classes and they experience that, but we are very different coaches,
Mhm.
right? We have our very different ways of running classes and how we communicate. So which begs the question, right? You can make a case that greatness isn't about personality, that it's not always about interpersonal skills because we have different interpersonal skills.
Yeah, Gene
Me
just
being
yells
the
at everybody.
best, yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
Do
Do better.
Stop crying out of your eyeballs. Cry out of the sweat in your forehead.
And Corey's just a human golden retriever.
Oh, is that too heavy? Let me go like that up for you.
It looks like you're
I'll lift it
struggling.
for you.
Let me
Yeah,
do
let
this
me
rep
just do it for you.
You watch right there.
And I'm somewhere in between.
That's very true. But they experience it differently. So that's why I was intrigued by the question, because still they're benefiting and they're having high regard and good feedback for us. So something is working. that's why I really wanted to distill the essence of this is how do you describe great or quality and establish that. And to me, the first, the baseline minimum is the reframing of the narrative, and the wording here is important, but it's you are not the hero in the story, right? And this is very hard. When you're a coach, it's not your story anymore, right? It's the people that are in front of you that you're coaching, and you're the guide in their story, which is very hard because in our heads we're always the heroes in our story. We're living our life, and this is a career, and we take a lot of effort in coaching. But once you are on stage, once you are coaching somebody, it's not about you anymore, right? It's putting everything together to propel the person in front of you to have the best experience today, tomorrow, and in the future. And I think that's really hard because when you're first starting out or when you're trying to build a business, you're like, I want to be great. I want to be a great coach. I want to do this. I. And then you lose track of great is not about you. It's about the person that is in front of you.
Well, I think as like depending on where you are in your career, your definition of great adjusts a little bit.
Yeah, it's a fluid thing for sure.
Like as a new grad PT, I just wanted to knowledge dump on everybody
hmm
when that's not helpful to almost anybody.
Yeah, people tune out as soon as we start using the word goniometer, and they're just like, no.
I haven't touched a goniometer in 5 years.
Yeah, you get better at reading the room, right? You start to get a sense. You have this feeling, whether people are listening or tuning out, whether they're pissed at you or not, whether they had a good day or not. Like you said, meeting them where they are. Um, and I think the other aspect of it is one of our core values is kind of go through, not around. I think when you're a great coach, you don't avoid the challenging conversations or the uncomfortable conversations because that's part of life. And if you're always, when you're a coach, approaching people when they're at their best, then you are truly missing a lot of coaching opportunities to say that training or whatever it is that you're coaching is not about always meeting people at their best. It's sometimes getting them to that point or just getting them to okay or through okay. That's really hard. It's hard to have difficult conversations, but I think truly great coaches are willing to step in, and again, not because of them, because it's going to be uncomfortable for you and challenging for you, and you might be a punching bag a little bit in that situation. But sometimes people don't have anybody else to kind of let all that out for. And I feel like we are that a lot of times, and that's tough. And it's tougher if you're not willing to do that.
True. I think good coaches, like you said, meet people where they're at. I think they make the people that they interact with feel important and set them up for success in whatever situation that they're working towards. In our scenario, it's in classes. I feel like we are there to not just make sure the class goes okay, but to help each member set themselves up for success to feel like they're progressing in some way, even if it is a little piece of knowledge, or if it's a little cue or a little bit of a progression of some sort, or even the opposite of understanding that they need to dial things back a little bit. Maybe that's their progression for the week.
Right.
Trying to have a meaningful interaction with most people during the classes, I think, is important.
And sometimes it's telling the athlete what they don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
for sure.
pulling in the reins a little bit.
That's exactly it. It's difficult conversations, I think, are a critical aspect of it. Here's a follow-up question. Do outcomes matter in order to be great? Like, do you actually have to win games if you're a coach of a team or deliver certain outcomes if you're coaching group fitness? Like, do outcomes determine how good you are as a coach?
I think they matter. I don't know if they determine whether or not you're great. I think outcomes matter because they're coming to us for us to help solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are not helping solve a problem, then we're not great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, like I was saying, how like even if it's just a little bit of progress, a little bit of something moving towards an end goal, we should at least be providing the environment to try to do that or
Ag-
move them forward.
I think it's important to be transparent about like what the goal is or what you define as a successful outcome
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and the temporal landmarks that are expected to meet that outcome.
I think
Right?
that's
Like
absolutely right.
people are
Yeah.
like they're like, oh, nothing happened. It's like, okay, well, you spent 30 days there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is, I think this is absolutely correct, is that outcomes matter if expectations are properly set. I
Right.
think this is where a big separator from amateur or okay coaches to great coaches is that you outline and set expectations, but they're not rigid. That there is fluidity and there's nuance to them.
And understanding that what is defined as progress. Like I'm thinking of things that are like super technical, like cleans or snatches or something like that. Like if you didn't get heavier over the 12 weeks of the cycle, but you feel more confident and your shoulder doesn't feel like it wants to pop out of its socket at the bottom of a snatch, or if they just feel cleaner, or if the technique like
Yep.
those are that's still progress.
It's hard being a health related coach because if you're doing your job properly, most things don't happen, right? Like if you are a
do you
team
mean?
coach, you play a sport and you win a game. If you are us and somebody doesn't have a heart attack, or if somebody doesn't have a stroke, or if somebody doesn't, break apart, we've done our jobs, right? So most of our success is things not happening. Like, yeah, we have a few, like people get stronger, certainly, and more capable and lose weight and things like that happen. But those are still not the majority. The majority of people get healthier, but it's just them living their life and things happening, but most things are not happening. So it's hard to gauge those outcomes if you don't set expectations. You look like you're still thinking.
I didn't. I blacked out. You said things are happening, but they're not happening, and I was like, what?
Yes.
And then
Health
I
events.
came out of my body, and then I came back into my body, and you were done talking.
This is what happens when you have waffles shaped like a penis.
I did not have them.
This is what happens
be
when you
clear.
don't have a waffle shaped like a penis. Can't win.
Okay.
Can't
Yeah,
win.
I can't win on
Can't win
this.
with this one.
My head hurts.
You really weren't even curious if they're actually good or if they're just like sensationalizing the
I did
waffle
not
body
want
parts.
a penis-shaped waffle, no, or a vulva-shaped waffle. I was saving my
Euros?
appetite
Oh.
for dinner.
Oh, would you have had one?
Mhm.
Would you have gone for the Would you have gone for the penis or the vulva?
Yes.
I'll take one of each. Thank you. A lack of something concrete happening is how most things go forth with us, meaning that
Well, I
members
think
don't have
people
negative
expect
things
it to
happen.
be black and white, and it's not. Or like a clear cut. Yes, I hit this goal. Well, never mind. Never mind. Keep talking.
Yeah, if you set expectations, it could be, but it's hardly ever that, and it's people figure things out at different paces and they experience things differently. I think that the whole point of a great coach is that they are there and embracing the fluidity of that relationship and giving people the information when they need it, um, and then making sure they're there for difficult conversations or difficult parts of people's lives because most people are hardest on themselves. Um, so people don't give themselves enough grace for a lot of things. And in a group setting, if they had a hard day or if they have somebody that's demeaning to them, like a hard boss or relationship, right, they kind of take that out on themselves a lot of times in class too. So if they do a power clean incorrectly and they're like, I just can't get this, or damn it, and you could see them spiraling, right? Then it's reframing it and giving them something to do and just setting them up, reframing them consistently and giving them clear expectations in the moment on a micro sense, but also in a macro big picture sense of here's what you're working towards and reframing them to that. And I think that's hard, and it's hard and it's exhausting. Like we said, we call it meaningful work because you're always engaged, right? You're always thinking about the other human in front of you. Or dog.
Or dog. Yeah.
Yep.
Meow 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 meow.
All right, we lost Megan. Yeah, I think it's good to recalibrate. I think it's always good to ask and answer that question of what is good, what is great, what are we trying to do here, and are we being successful in that outcome? And I think you could extrapolate that out, whether it's coaches or if you're a manager at your work. If you're in a leadership position, I think the skill set applies. So I don't think it's just unique to us as physical therapists or group fitness coaches or whatever. I think if you have other people that rely on you and it's your job to improve them and help them improve in some capacity, that all of these apply, right? Psychological safety, setting expectations, dealing with nuance, not being the hero in the story that they're the hero in their story, and it's your job to guide them to wherever they need to go. And it's hard. It's hard when you have 100+ people that you're doing that for, right? Because you have to put yourself aside. You guys need a hug right now?
No.
You look like you need a nap
I need a nap.
and a waffle.
I need a cappuccino is what I need.
Nappuccino.
I need a nappuccino.
That's where you chug a coffee and then take a 20-minute nap, and then you wake up rejuvenated.
Highly effective. All right. That's it. Thanks for listening. Let us know what makes a great coach to you guys.
You can just comment Corey in the comment section.
with pants or without pants?
Yes.
All of the above. Yeah, I'll be curious to hear. Last few podcasts, Colleen was giving me shit in our group chat that you guys are just saying everything's useless and you don't need anything. So
That's not true though.
well, the headlines were, but yeah,
Well, yeah, the headlines,
the actual
but
nuance.
like that's not what the content
Right.
of the.
See, I thought it would be the opposite. I thought it'd be freeing to people. Like you don't have to worry about stretching. You don't have to worry about your posture. That you could just like live life and adjust to these things because they're not concrete things. But people really like their stretching and their posture. Like,
People like to cling to things and reasons for why they feel certain things.
Yeah.
It's something easy for them to control. I can do this stretch.
It gives you a scapegoat kind
Yeah.
of.
well, it's also
Yeah.
established. Anything that's long standing is hard to let go of, especially if you've invested. It's
Well, you kind of have to reframe everything you've learned.
yeah. Well, have you guys ever heard a term called sunken cost fallacy?
I'm sure I have.
It's kind of like that. The more money you spend, the more biased you are, or the more anything you spend, the more biased you are to want that even more, right? Like if you bought a car and then it broke and you kept spending money into it, you want to keep spending money into that car because you were like, shit, I already spent $10,000. I'm not going to get
Is
rid
that
of
why
it.
they keep you at the car dealership for freaking hours?
No, it's the same reason that Apple Store has everything up for you to touch. The more things you touch and the more time you spend in any store, the higher likelihood is that you're going to buy things.
So yeah, that's why.
Yep. That's why the show cars, that's why the grocery stores and Target and all of them are set up the way they are. Then you can't turn anywhere without touching another product.
Is that why people don't like to trade their number one draft pick in fantasy leagues? Because they feel invested to them because they spent a high draft pick on them?
That's one reason. The other reason is because people are idiots and they like to hold on to their things. They're hoarders.
Mm.
So I'm not ready. I'm not in the mindset right now
I
to
feel
talk
like this is
fantasy
getting
football,
personal.
Corey. So I don't appreciate you bringing up fantasy football right
we
now.
are playing this week,
Yes.
Gene and I.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, this could be fun.
Yeah.
As long as I win, it will be fun. Yes, I
I
agree.
heard about last week.
We don't want to talk about
I'm
that.
taking next week off if I lose. Just so you know, I don't want to put up with Gene.
It will be merciless.
Is that how this works?
no,
When
I'm
you
pretty
don't
sure-
wanna put up with Gene, we just take off.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure.
I would never.
I
Come
figured
to
that's why you went to Portugal.
I think I'll make it worse. If I win, I wouldn't even say anything. You would just like wait for something to say, and I'll just completely ignore it.
I'll be like, hey, Gene, you know you won, right? And you're like, oh, did I? Didn't even notice.
We had fantasy this week.
Yeah.
I
I forgot to set my lineup.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying these, head over to Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon. Literally pick a platform. We should be on there. Leave us a review. Leave some comments. Head over to Instagram at RechargeXFit. Definitely on YouTube, where we've been posting pretty much every week a different video. This week we posted, depending when you're listening to this, our results from
Yeah,
the
that
Hyper Ice
video's
study.
freaking long, man. I didn't get through it.
Says the one that can't even sit through her own podcast right now. You are
I
not
literally, I
engaged.
saw it was 15 minutes long. I was like, I'm not watching this.
You are not engaged. Jesus.
I've had some good feedback from people.
Good.
I will watch it when I have more than
When your eyeballs
30%
can
of
open
my
full.
brain.
Yeah. When your eyeballs can open all the way. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you again on the next episode of the Movement is Medicine podcast from Recharge.